يلا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. ثم ما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تبارك وتعالى. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله عز وجل وخير هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة ثم أما بعد. This is the بإذن الله تبارك وتعالى الدرس في القواعد الأربع. القواعد الأربع, the four principles derived from the book of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. The Shaykh al-Islami Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab ibn Sulaiman rahimahullah. Inshallah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, we just want to review quickly and then proceed where we left off. We want to remind ourselves of the statement of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala that the Shaykh he mentioned, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And Tabarak wa Ta'ala in this book, the Quran, he mentioned the likes of the statement showing the worship to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. The worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the reason that he created the jinn kind, a creation before man, and then the mankind. That he didn't create them for any other sole purpose. Except to worship him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Al-Tabarak wa ta'ala followed up that verse by saying, مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ يُطْعِمُونَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو قُوَّةٍ مَتِينٍ. And Allah Azza wa Jal clarifying the issue of the reason we were created and the things that help us and that strive towards why Allah created us. That is the obedience, the worship to Him. Allah said, and He is not in need from them, meaning the previous creation that He mentioned, the jinn nor mankind. He's not in need from them anything from provision. And many of the ulama, they mention the reason Allah mentioned this is because He created us to worship Him, and we at the same time, the human beings and the jinn kind, we were in need of risk, a type of provision. That's why Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentioned negating. He's not in need of that from us. Rather, it is the opposite. We are in need of provision, things to help us through the life from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah specified specifically, and He is not in need that we feed Him. Rather, we are in need that Allah feeds us. And ulama, they mentioned again that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala did not create us لِمَجَرَةِ الْأَكْلِ وَالشُّرْبِ وَلَا ثَمَرٍ, and did not create us solely or merely just so that we can eat and drink and gain some benefit from the eating and drinking, as people trade that which is from the food and drink and they make money. And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is also made for us from the an'am, as He had mentioned, نُسْقِيكُم مِّن بُطُونِهِمْ, that we drink from their stomachs, meaning the milk and things of that nature, and we benefit from them in many ways, the animals. Here Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and he mentions those things for us. But they are too, as the ulama said, يعني استعينا لعبادة الله سبحانه وتعالى. They were a means to help us. They were a means that we may seek from those things aid and assistance to obey Allah in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the food and drink and all of those things that are necessities, Allah only made them necessities that we may use them to help facilitate the worship to Him, the obedience to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then after that, we mentioned the first qawaid, the first principle of the four. The Shaykh, he mentioned أن المشركون الأولون أن المشركين الأولون يقرون بربوبية. That the early pagans, meaning from the Quraysh, and not all of the Quraysh were pagans, by the way. Some of them believed in Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Thus, when they heard the call to Islam, they accepted, and they didn't worship idols. Some did, some didn't. Here, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is talking in general, not the exception to the rule. Those early pagans, they agreed and they believed in the worship. They believed and they agreed to the rububiyyah, the lordship of Allah. They had belief in Allah as being the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who gives the provision, the one who brings forth the living from the dead, and vice versa. But their shirk was in the uluhiyyah. So here, the first principle the Shaykh mentioned, and we covered this last time, أن المشركين الأولون يقرون بربوبية الله عز وجل. That the early pagans, they used to agree that Allah is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. He is the Lord of the seven heavens and the great throne. He is the one who disposes and He handles all of the affairs. Like the people are saying, وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, from a couple of years ago, Storm Sandy. They make the storm named Sandy, male or female. This time it's the name of a prophet, Jonah. إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. But the early pagans, Allah Musta'an, they give that credit to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. He is the one who makes and controls all of the affairs. So the lesson here in this first principle is that just because a people believe that Allah is the creator of the heavens and the earth and those other aspects of His lordship doesn't mean that they are believers. Because the early pagans believing in Allah being Lord, لا يخرجهم من الكفر ولم يدخلهم في الإسلام. It did not take them from a state of disbelief, the fact that they believed in the lordship. Neither did it enter them into the fold of Islam because they believed in the lordship. Because what they were minus, the thing that they were naqas fi, uluhiyyatillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. The lordship was okay, but the worship, the servitude, was the problem that they faced. Tabaraka wa Ta'ala mentioned the likes of this in His Quran when He said, قُلْ مَنْ يَرْزُقُكُمْ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Say to them, O Muhammad, who is the one who gives you the provision, who sends it down to you from the heavens, and He gives you provision also on the earth? وَمَنْ يَمْلِكُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارِ. Now, who is the one who possesses and gives you the ability that you may be able to have vision and that you may be able to have hearing? وَمَنْ يُخْرِجُ الْحَيَّ مِنَ الْمَيِّتِ وَيُخْرِجُ الْمَيِّتَ مِنَ الْحَيِّ. And ask them who is the one that creates and makes something alive from nothing, after being non-existent, and ask them who is the one that brings the dead back to life. وَمَنْ يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرِ, and who is the one who controls all of the affairs. سَيَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ. Allah said, verily here they will say, with two emphasis, the lam wa noon al-tawqeed, سَيَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ. They would say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tabarak wa ta'ala also mentioned قُلْ مَنْ رَبِّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ قُلْ مَنْ رَبِّ السَّمَاوَاتِ السَّبْعِ وَرَبِّ الْعَرْشِ الْعَظِيمِ سَيَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ. Ask them who is the great Lord of the seven heavens and the magnificent, the great throne. They would say Allah. And Tabarak wa ta'ala, he also says, وَأَنْ سَأَلْتُهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ فَيَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ فَقُلْ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ قُلْ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. And if you ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they will say Allah. Then say to them, O Muhammad, then don't you use your intellect to worship him? So this is the first point the Shaykh mentioned. Rahmatullah alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah. May Allah bestow upon him a broad and a wide and an all-encompassing mercy and forgiveness for his shortcomings as a human being, and bless him for his tremendous work, such as this Qawaid Arbaa, the four principles, that he extracted these principles from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mushrikun awwalun, the early pagans during the time of the Prophet and before him, used to believe in the rububiyyah, as you heard the verses. Allah Tabarak wa ta'ala told him, and he asked him, who sends you down the provision from the heavens and provides for you therein on earth. Ask them, O Muhammad, who is the one that possesses the total hearing and seeing? Who is the one who gives that to his creation, and he hears and he sees totally? Who is the one that subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the life from the dead and the dead back to life? Who is the one that controls all of the issues, all the affairs, the rising and setting of the sun, the issue of the rotation of the night and the day? Who is the one who brings about the sun and the moon? Ask them, they will say Allah. So this is a proof from the book of Al-Tabarak wa ta'ala. There was not a problem in the rububiyyah, in the lordship. بل يشرك بالله تبارك وتعالى في ألوهيته. But rather in the worship that's deserving to Allah, this is where they made partners with Allah Tabarak wa ta'ala. So the first point, those early Arabs that made shirk with Allah, meaning they were mushrik, Allah called them, those who make shirk. How did they make shirk? Whether it's in the lordship, was it in the fact that Allah was the creator? They said someone else was the creator. Was it in the fact that someone, they said, provides for the creatures, the humans, and all of the things that exist other than Allah? Was it the fact that they said that someone, the dominion is in his hands other than Allah? No, of course not. It was in the worship. Likewise, Barakallahu fikum, Abu Jahl, Abdullah ibn Umayr, two of the pagans that are known in history, and we should know them, Abu Jahl and Abdullah ibn Umayr. They were two of the head that was at the bedside of Abi Talib, the uncle of the Prophet. Prophet Sallam was saying to him, Ya Ammi, O my uncle, Qul la ilaha illallah. Ya Ammi, O my uncle, Qul la ilaha illallah tuflihu. Qul la ilaha illallah tajiduhu عند الله تبارك وتعالى شفاعا لك يوم القيامة, كما قال in the hadith of Tariq ibn Shihab and the Sahih of Muslim. But Prophet said the meaning, O my uncle, say La ilaha illallah. If you do, you will find it as a witness for you and a glad tidings and an intercession for you on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. But at his bedside was Abu Jahl and Abdullah ibn Umayr, two of the head pagans of the Quraysh, and they were also from the two that went seeking the Sahaba who made the first migration, fleeing from Mecca to Habashiyah, leaving Mecca going to Abyssinia, which is known now as Ethiopia. They went, Abu Jahl and Abdullah ibn Umayr, along with some others. They were the head that went to bring them back, to have them persecuted, where Najashi, the great Christian king, did not turn them loose. They remained with him in safety. Rabbi Allah ta'ala anhum jami'an. May Allah have mercy and be pleased with all of the Sahaba and Tabi'een, such as Najashi was from the Tabi'een. Rabbi Allah ta'ala anhum. So this Abu Jahl and Abdullah ibn Umayr, they believed in the Rububiyyah, while they clearly disbelieved because of the worship being to other than Allah Ta'ala, the seeking and praying to other than Allah Ta'ala. Also you have Wallahu Musta'an from the Jama'at al-Tabligh, Wabad Sufiya, and some of the extreme Sufis. And they agree that Allah is the creator of the heavens and the earth, and He is the provider, and He is the one, everything is in His hands. But when it comes to dua, they make dua to the deceased. When it comes to intercession, they ask the deceased to intercede for them. When it comes to invoking, they invoke the dead that they call awliya or the salihin. And Shaykh al-Muqbil, he said that if Abu Jahl and Abdullah ibn Umayr were alive today, they would agree with the Jama'at al-Tabligh. They will be like the Jama'at al-Tabligh, and he believing in the Rububiyyah while making shirk to Allah and the Uluhiyyah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And Shaykhuna Fawzan, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, Al-Imam Al-Fadil Al-Fawzan, he said that the Jama'at al-Tabligh hum al-Ghalat min al-Sufiyya, they are extreme Sufis. And the only way you're going to know this is not by sitting with them in the dhikr circle or going with them on the kharuj or the jola when they go out and they travel from place to place, to masajid, and visiting people, knocking on their doors, calling them to the masjid, which we should call the people to the Tawheedillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Gathering in the masjid is one thing, and gathering upon Tawheed, being upon Tawheed is another. But at any rate, if you understand what they believe and you talk with them and you read the books that are authored for the Jama'at al-Tabligh, they are extreme Sufis. They are extreme Sufi, Diobandi type of Sufi, which was invented in Allah Musta'an, the providence of what we know to be India, and the region of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, this area, during the early 1900s. وهكذا صوفية والله المستعان يدعو إلى القبور ويدعو إلى أوليائهم والله المستعان حتى يبدل مكان أولياء وأنبياء. And they switch places from the Anbiya. The greatest human should be the prophets and messengers. But they demote the prophets and messengers and put the awliya before them. So you make dua to the awliya, then the prophet, and then he takes it to Allah. Some of them have this. So here, and the rububiyyah won't benefit you if you have problems in your uluhiyyah. Uluhiyyah or ibadah, your servitude, your worship, your obedience, your dua, your salah, your slaughtering, your depending on something other than Allah Ta'ala, directing those acts to other than Allah. Rububiyyah, the lordship, the one who created everything, the one who is in control, the one who sends your provision. That rububiyyah will not benefit you without the uluhiyya, the servitude, and also it includes the asma'i wa sifat, worshiping Allah and believing in Him, in His names and attributes properly. Al-Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He mentioned the fact that they only invoke these deities, the early pagans, to become close to Allah, that they may be pious and have nearness and love from and to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala said about them, لا نعبدهم إلا ليقربونا إلى الله زلفى. And said that we did not worship them. And they understood this was worship. This act, of calling on these idols and these, deceased. So we did not worship them, except that that act may draw us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they thought themselves that, they need something to go to Allah because they were, in sin. They were doing some things that they felt we need to be pure. And the only way we're going to have nearness to Allah, we have to go through those who are the righteous, or those who we deem to be righteous, and they die like this. So this is the first qawaid that the Shaykh wanted to bring. That is, the early pagans, they did not make shirk to Allah in the lordship, rather the shirk was in the worship to Allah, the uluhiyya, or the ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second one, the Shaykh mentioned that those early pagans, they tried to make between them and Allah shufa'a and Allah, those that will intercede for them with Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And the Shaykh mentioned that there's two types of shifa. Shifa, munfiya, the one that's rejected, and the shifa that is muthbatan, from the word ithbat, it is affirmed. On Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He mentioned this in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, and He said, Man dhalladhi yashfa'u andahu illa bi'ithnih. So the first one is munfiya, it's rejected, meaning that Allah will not accept just anybody's intercession, anybody asking Him about another individual or groups of people. Rather, Allah has to give you the permission before you even make an intercession. And we know this from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet will be making sajda, Yawm al-Qiyamah, to Allah, praising Allah, glorifying Allah, magnifying Allah, and he will be doing this on and on and on and on in front of Allah until Allah will tell him, Irfa ratsak, raise your head. Then the Prophet will raise up and Allah will give him permission to intercede for his ummah. So, man dhalladhi yashfa'u andahu illa bi'ithnih. Who would be able to ask Allah on behalf of another except by his permission? And this is the munfiyah that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He rejects it, or it will not be allowed until He allows it. And that which is from the muthbatan, from the type of shifa that is affirmed, it's okay, is the shifa of the Ahl al-Tawheed, the people that worshipped Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. They believed in Allah as Lord, but they didn't pray and sacrifice and make dua and make salah to other than Allah. Only Allah. With their sins and shortcomings, they made sure that their worship was to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in every way. Those, Prophet he said, أسعد الناس بشفاعتي من أمتي يوم القيامة أهل الكبائر كما قال. And the hadith which is in the بارك الله فيكم hadith أخرجه في Bukhari ومسلم, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the most deserving people to me, or I should revert that, pardon me, the most deserving people to have me ask on their behalf a pardon from my ummah are those who were the people of Tawheed. And the reason the Prophet said from my ummah, because even the ummah, this ummah that we normally talk about, it has different meanings. There's ummatul am or ummatul khas. Ummah has a general meaning and ummah has a specific meaning. The general meaning of ummah means everyone that was alive and everyone that Islam reached. They're under the ummah of the Prophet, meaning they are the people that the Prophet called to Islam. So the Yahud, the Christian, all of the groups, including the Muslims, everybody that exists in the world during the event of the Prophet, they're under his ummah, meaning they are the people that he was sent to. As Allah Ta'ala said that the Prophet was ماذا كان رسول الله يعني الناس جميعا كما قال تبارك وتعالى قل يا أيها الناس إني رسول الله إليكم جميعا. Say to them, O Muhammad, O people, I am the messenger of Allah to everybody. So that means everybody falls under the general term of ummah. And I remember years ago, one of the well-known preachers and advocates for Islam and callers on the East Coast, he was given a class and he was teaching from a famous book called Al-Aqidat Wasatiyya by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. And he made this statement and he said that the nation of Islam, they're from the Ummah of Muhammad. And the people went bananas. There's a term in America, people went bananas, mean they went crazy. They were like, upset and a lot of commotion in the masjid. How could you say this? A'udhu billah, astaghfirullah. They're from the Ummah of the Prophet. These people, they say Allah came in the form of a man, Master for Muhammad. And that Elijah Poole, a Kadab, the lying prophet, he's the messenger. How can you say they're from the Ummah of the Prophet? He himself didn't bring the rest of the details. يعني تحتاج إلى التفصيل. You have to bring all of the details. You can't just say that they're from the Ummah of the Prophet. And so later on, he went back, he checked, and he seen what the ulama say about this. Then he came back later and clarified. And that is, everyone that was alive, meaning every type of adiyan, every type of deen that exists, and the people of those deen, the people of those religions, or those people on the face of the earth, because the Prophet was sent to all mankind, they become from his ummah, meaning the people that he invites. Ummatul da'wah, they are the people that he calls. And this includes everybody. أما الأمة ماذا أمة الاستجابة. نعم أمة الاستجابة, the ummah, the people that accepted his call, وهم المسلمون, then they are the Muslims. Now they are the Muslims. And that's why Barakallahu fikum Tabaraka wa ta'ala, he said in Surah Al-Baqarah, إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين من آمن إن الذين هادوا, إن الذين هادوا, those who were from the Jewish tribe, from Judith, والنصارى, and those who claim from Nazareth to follow Isa, والصابئين, and the Sabians, من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر, and those who believe in Allah and the last day, وعمل صالحا, and they do righteous deeds, فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم, for them they will have a reward with their Lord, ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون, they will not be those who grieve, neither will they be those who have fear on the day of judgment. Why? Because they were from those who fall under the ummah, who accepted during that time when they had their prophets and messengers, or they were from those who, when the prophet called them, they came. Thus they became from those who we say Muslim. Like I was a Christian, so and so was a Jew, but when we heard the call, we came. And not that those people that remain Jew and Christian Sabians after they heard the Prophet's call. La, this is not the meaning. And this is why some of the people, the Wafdeen, Muhammad community, and others, they take this and say the present day Jew, Christian Sabians, they are going to paradise along with the Muslims. They are our cousins in the religion, because they misunderstood this issue of dawah, the ummah, those religions that were on the face of the earth when the Prophet was sent with prophethood and messengership. They became from his ummah, meaning those who he targeted, those who he called. And those who accepted, meaning that became Muslim, then they are ummah istajaba, the ummah that accepted, the group of people that accepted. So ummah here means group of people in general. And the Prophet was sent to all people. And ummah in specific means those who accepted Islam. Likewise, the same thing for the shifa. When the Prophet said, the most deserving people for my shifa, for my ummah on the day of judgment, or the people of major sin. They are the most deserving, because they're going to need it. And they were the ones who accepted the Prophet is talking about. They don't have shirk with them, but they have major sins. As for the other people that were called and they didn't accept, then there will be no shifa for them on the day of judgment. This leads you to the second part, shifa muthbatan. The shifa that's affirmed is only for the people of Tawheed. If you're not from the people of Tawheed, then no one can intercede for you, even a prophet. So how about now you're calling on people that died that, wallahu musta'an, may have been mushrikun themselves, or you yourself were a mushrik and you're asking someone to intercede. Allah will not accept either way, from the mushrik who intercedes or the mushrik that wants intercession. Only from those who die upon the uluhiyya, the worship to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. So this point affirms and shows the importance of the worship, and not to think that there's no more shirk, as some people that say la yujid shirk fi jazirat al-Arab. There's no more shirk present in the Arabian Peninsula, because they mean worshiping, praying to the idols, slaughtering meat to put before the idols to get a reward, and this is not the only shirk. Wallahu musta'an. The second qawaid, or the second qaida, the qaida al-thaniya, the second principle the Shaykh he mentions, he says that the mushrikun, they used to make shufa'a and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They used to put between them and Allah someone that could take their dua to Allah. And Tabarak wa ta'ala said this about them, where they said, La na'buduhum. No, that we took that verse, pardon me. Allah Tabarak wa ta'ala said, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ لَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَضُرُّهُمْ وَلَا يَنفَعُهُمْ فَيَقُولُونَ هَؤُلَاءِ شُفَعَاؤُنَا عِندَ اللَّهِ. And those that take besides Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala someone that they think will go and be an intercessor or guardian that will be on their behalf, they will go to Allah. They say to these awliya, and remember, awliya has a lot of meanings. One of them means a close friend. Another meaning of awliya, a protector. Another meaning of awliya means someone who's devoted, to you and devoted to the cause. Has a lot of meanings. So Tabarak wa Ta'ala here, he's talking about those people who take something as an intercessor, something as a devoted figure, something that they take that he himself is righteous and dear to Allah. They understand la yadurruhum. That thing can't harm them. It can't punish them where Allah could punish them. It can't give them provision and give them safety as Allah can give them provision and safety. So they know that it can't harm us, neither bring any benefit to us. They said, but we are only using them, shufa'a'una 'inda Allah, as something between us and Allah, that they may go and ask Allah to forgive us. They may go and ask Allah to pardon us. This is a trick from the shaitan, to make them make dua, to make them ask someone who's not there, that they can't see, to do something. And this is one of the points here, that you can't see Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. You have to believe that you can't see Allah, but Allah sees you. So the fact that those deities are not alive, they're invisible, they're not there, they're calling on them, this is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you call on one that you can't see in this regard. If they were those that were alive and you want to have them intercede, then this firstly means they must be from the righteous. They must be from the Salihin, those who are the people of Tawheed. And what you ask them, they must have the ability to ask or do, and they must be present. If you do this, then this is proper shifa. This is a proper shifa, or tawassal. It has two meanings. Tawassal, you're using them to take the dua to Allah, but remember, they were alive from the Salihin, not from the Mushrikeen. They are from the people Tawheed. You are asking them something they have the ability to do, not something impossible, and they are present. They're not in another land, they can't hear you or see you, no. So the first one, like the man went to him on the day of Jummah and said, Ya Rasulullah, he said, Idu Allah yughithana, or kama qal. Ask Allah to give us downpour rain, because the animals are dying of thirst, and there's a dry spell, we're in trouble. So the Prophet raised his hand immediately. So this means the Prophet was there, number one. He's not unpresent or invisible. Number two, the Prophet was able to ask Allah, this is okay, to ask Allah, give us rain. He didn't ask the Prophet, oh Messenger, give me the moon in one hand and the sun in the other. This is impossible. So this would have been something that cancels out the shifa'ah. And then the third thing is that the Prophet he was, of course, from Ahl Tawheed. He was from the most Ittaqan al-Bashar, the most pious of the human beings, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are the three conditions of shifa. If a person is alive, he's there with you. He's from the people of Tawheed, and you ask him something, he has the ability. If any one of those three things are mentioned, or that we mentioned, or missing, any one of those three, he's not alive, he's dead. Or he's alive but he's not there. You're in America, he's in China, and he doesn't know that you're calling on him. Or you ask him something that's out of his ability as a human, then this becomes shirk, and this is one of the issues that they use for making someone a shifa, to make an intercession between them and Allah. This is how it becomes shirk, because they ask the deceased, those that don't have the ability, those that are dead, or some of them even died as mushrikun themselves. Wallahu musta'an. So these are the 2 points that we want to cover tonight from the Sheikh's book, Qawaid Arbaa. And inshallah ta'ala, next week we hope that we can finish the last 2 points, and then we can take the next treatise that we want to take, inshallah ta'ala, which will be one of the small treatises in Aqeedah, inshallah, and we'll work our way to the bigger books, inshallah ta'ala. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا هو أستغفرك ونتوب إليه. The floor is open for questions around the topic and then in general. For those who have questions, if the moderator is not available at this time, you can press the star key twice to unmute, ask your question, and then you should hit your mute button. It should say mute to mute yourself after the question so that the noise reduction will be suitable. Jazakumullah khair. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The meaning of awliya. The one questioner, he asked, Barakallahu fihi, may Allah bless him, what is the meaning of awliya? This is for the people who are on the internet that can't hear the question. Now, the meaning of awliya has various meanings. One of the meaning of awliya is a close friend, one who is devoted, one who is a servant to Allah wa ta'ala. When Allah said awliya Allah, it means those that are devoted to Allah wa ta'ala. But the devotion in this regard, yatafawwad, has different levels, as many of the ulama they mention from the hadith of the Prophet alayhi wa alihi wa sallam and the Sahih of Muslim, where he mentioned al-mu'minu qawiyyun khayr wa ahabba ila Allah min al-mu'min al-da'ifi wa fi kulli khayr ihrasu ala ma yanfa'aka wasta'inna billah. Al-Hadith. Well, the Prophet, he said, the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah. He is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer. But in all of them, there is some good. Therefore, be eager, rush towards that which will benefit you. Be eager and hasten towards those things that will benefit you, and then seek the assistance of Allah thereafter. And the hadith has some other part that we don't want to mention. The point was made here, awliya Allah is on different levels. Because of Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentioned the strong and the weak from the believers. So this includes those that, Allahumma musta'an, have more sins or various sins than others, that as long as they have a type of devotion to Allah that starts with the rububiyyah, then it spills over and it goes over to the uluhiyyah, the worship of Allah, and they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His names and attributes and actions as He and His Messenger describe. And they call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by them, like Ya Ghafoor, Ya Rahim, or the one who forgives a lot, or the one who is very merciful. Ya Wahhab, Ya Al-Quddus, the one who gives presence and the one who is sanctified. And they don't deny His names and attributes or try to give a underlining meaning to them or to twist them. They worship Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala without making partners to Allah, and they fall under the category of awliya. That one who is devoted in some way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you have awliya, meaning the one who has a lot of worship to Allah. He's muhsin. He has the highest level. Like they say, the saints, and these people were very stern in their worship and fasting and making a lot of